And in deep appreciation, we will now begin this transmission with what we have titled the formula. Many of you have heard us talk about how important it is, how crucial it is to act on your highest passion, follow your highest excitement. And we have delved into, from many different directions, why this is crucial in life. Because excitement is the vibration, your physical translation of the vibration of your true self, your true frequency. It is also your physical body's translation of communication from the higher mind. That's how it translates. When the higher mind is communicating with you, it translates as that sensation you call excitement, creativity, love, passion, joy. But the idea is that we have perceived that sometimes there can be some misunderstandings, a little bit of lack of clarity about the specifics of following the formula, the three-part formula that we have often delivered. The three-part formula being that you act on your highest passion every moment that you can, to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further, with absolutely zero insistence or assumption as to what the outcome ought to be, how you need to get where you're going, or any such specific idea being held on to. This three-part formula, as we have said, will activate the kit of excitement, the complete kit that contains all the tools necessary. But in these three parts, we have discovered that sometimes there perhaps are different interpretations about what those different parts actually represent or refer to. So today, we would like to dig a little deeper, delve a little deeper, and explain, based on what you have before you as your handout, some more specific ideas about what each segment actually refers to. This may not even necessarily be everything, every specific detail, but it will be a good start to help clarify the concept a little bit more. So, Nania, do you have your handout? Come up and read, if you will be willing to assist. All right. So, under the first part of the formula, to act on your passion, what is the first subheading? Everyone can follow along.
You're talking about number 1, right?
Yes.
Okay. Take action on the opportunity that contains the highest excitement.
Yes, that's the principle itself. What is the first subheading?
The highest excitement doesn't have to come in the form of a project or a career.
Yes, this is very important to understand because very often people will say, well, I don't know what my excitement is. And often they are thinking that it has to come in a specific recognizable form, some kind of a life-spanning career or long-term project, or come with trumpets blowing. No. When we talk about the idea of acting on your excitement, your highest excitement, we mean it can be as simple as every moment of every day you have a number of options available to you that you are able to take some action on. Very basic, very simple. It can be reading a book, having lunch with a friend, talking to someone, taking a walk on the beach. Whatever option contains even just a little bit more excitement than any other option at that level, that's the one to act on first. Because the more excitement it contains than any other is telling you through the synchronicity tool of excitement that this is the order in which to act on these options. The one that contains the most excitement, that has the greatest ability to be acted upon, is the first one to act on. And it can be step by step, very simple. When you do that, it may lead to larger and larger and larger representations of excitement coming in different forms that will be more apparent, more obvious to you. But really all we mean is you can take it a step at a time on every level, even the most basic level, and just at every moment act on the one that contains the most excitement, more than any other excitement you have the greatest ability to do something about. That's really all it means, step by step, and it will lead to other representations and other experiences and other opportunities that will allow you to express your excitement in grander ways. And the next subheading
is as long as an option contains even a little more excitement than any other option, act on it first.
That's as we just said. Again, this is easy to do. We will assume, we may be wrong, but we will assume that you're all here today because this is what it excited you to do. But when you leave this transmission, this interaction today, again, you will have a number of options available to you. The only thing you need to do to activate this principle is just look at all the options and just choose to act on the one that contains more excitement than any other, even if it's only just a little bit. That will be your clue and your indication that comes first. Because again, one of the tools, as we will point out again later, is that excitement carries the organizing principle through synchronicity. And it will show you exactly in what order things need to be done, when they need to be done, and thus anything that doesn't fit in that day when you're done doesn't need to be done that day. It truly organizes your life automatically. The next subheading.
Excitement is your body's physical translation of a communication from your higher mind.
People on your planet ask all the time, how can I get a sign from my higher mind? How can I learn to communicate with my higher mind? How can I learn to recognize communication from it? I don't know. It must be difficult. Not at all. The things that excite you the most is actually your translation of that communication. So, when you're willing to act on the thing that contains the highest excitement, that is actually you paying attention to the message from your higher mind that's guiding you from a higher position, a broader point of view, saying, do this now, do this next, do this next. This is the order that works best for you. And when you act on that excitement to the best of your ability, with zero insistence on the outcome, that is actually your response to the higher mind. That's going, I hear you loud and clear, and so I will act on that, knowing that you are guiding me. And when you then respond to the higher mind through that action, because you are physical, so action must be taken to demonstrate your commitment to receive that communication from the higher mind. When you do that, then the higher mind knows you're listening, knows you're paying attention, and it can start giving you more things to act on that contain more excitement. But if you're not paying attention, if you're not acting on the excitement that it presents to you, that it communicates to you, why should it give you more? It would be pointless. So the higher mind will always wait for you to demonstrate that you've heard the higher mind through the translation of excitement, and that you are willing to respond to the higher mind through your actions, and then you start that dialogue going, and you start the ball rolling, and you start the momentum, and it will accelerate and accelerate and expand from there. And next,
check your beliefs to make sure you aren't making anxiety appear to be excitement.
This is crucial, because many people will be afraid to face their fears because of negative belief systems within themselves about what it is they think they will encounter if they go exploring those things. And so many times they will gloss those anxieties, those fear-based beliefs over. They will ignore them. They will deny that they're there. They will not want to explore them, not want to admit that they're there. And so even though they may actually be feeling anxious, they may attempt to avoid looking at it or investigating it by making it appear or labeling it as my excitement. You have to be very clear in discerning within yourself what is truly excitement-based and what may be anxiety or fear-based. This is absolutely crucial, as is its reciprocal,
which is check your beliefs to make sure you aren't making excitement appear to be anxiety through you're able to take action on.
Again, you will come to crossroads in acting on your excitement when it seems the excitement is exhausted, when it seems there is nothing else you can do, you've taken it as far as you can. Then again, when you come to those crossroads, you just repeat the process. You look around for the options that are available to you at that moment on any level, and you simply act on the one that contains more excitement than any other. And you keep repeating that process over and over and over and over and over and over again. And if you always do that, then your life will always be as exciting as it possibly can be at that moment, because you're always choosing the thing that contains more excitement than anything else. And you just keep on doing that. And why? Because you have given yourself no other choice, no reason to choose anything else. That's why. And that's as simple as it needs to be. And
recognize the signs, reflections, and agreements that indicate an inability to take action.
Again, this comes back down to the definitions of what ability means. Now, each and every one of you has different abilities. Each and every one of you has a different relationship with the collective. Each and every one of you may have different ways of doing things, and so what works for you may not work for someone else, and vice versa. So you have to really be aware of what your abilities are and what the synchronicity of your reality shows you you are able to actually do and not do. And
physical parameters, laws of society, moral values, and ethical standards can all indicate whether or not you have the ability to take action.
This is the biggest one that needs the most clarification on your planet. Now, some of them are relatively obvious. Physical parameters. If you are literally, physically unable to take action on something for whatever reason, then that means you are unable to take action on it, and that is as good as a crossroads. It's as good as an arrow pointing in another direction saying, this direction that you are unable to act on is not the path of least resistance. So please don't stand there banging your head against a brick wall. Turn left, turn right, go around, do something else. Choose another thing that excites you. The things that may look like obstacles physically are not obstacles. They're road signs guiding you that you need to turn left, you need to turn right, you need to turn around, here and now. And that actually will be the path of least resistance. Please remember that even though the path may seem to be winding and longer than another path you could take, if it is actually the path of least resistance, it will actually be the fastest path. Because even though another path may look shorter, if it's not the path of least resistance, it will take you longer to walk it. So don't be afraid of the winding path. If it's your true path, it will actually allow you to go with the flow much more easily. Now, the idea again of what your society in general has agreed are different kinds of ethical and moral parameters are important for you to pay attention to because you agreed to be part of this society. We understand that many times people on your planet don't necessarily agree or see the same things in the same way, morally or ethically or even legally. But the idea is to understand that if you are part of a society that in general has agreed that these things are in place for the general benefit of that society, then you have to be very, very, very clear about why you might think it's important to go against the grain of that moral imperative, that ethical structure, or those legal standards called laws. Because if you go against them just because you can't see any other way, then you're just not being creative or imaginative enough. The idea to understand is that you are part of that society and you agreed to be. If you do not approve of certain laws or ethical standards, then you have every right to change them in whatever way works within your society to do so. But just violating them is not the way to do it, and the idea that the law or ethical standard exists is a sign and an indication that you don't have the ability to go in that direction. You need to see it as clearly as you would see a brick wall, again, simply being an arrow pointing in an unexpected direction that is actually representative of the path of least resistance. Let us add another example to this that we have become aware of, because this particular idea has been bandied about in your society now for quite a while, and specifically we will use the example of what is called copyright law, since this seems to be a hotbed topic in your society. The idea that we have talked about that you call pirating material that doesn't belong to you is a perfect illustration of what we are saying here. There have been some individuals in your society that have come back with what you might loosely call a rebuttal to this concept of obeying the copyright laws by saying, but there have been all sorts of laws in society that we really shouldn't have followed. For example, at one point, slavery was legal. Should we follow those laws? This is really not a correct argument and is really very surface-oriented and actually misses the point. The difference between that scenario and what you are calling the copyright laws is not apples and oranges, it is apples and broccoli. It is two completely different concepts. The idea, first and foremost, and the basic understanding here is that, yes, we understand that there can be what you would call unjust laws in your society, and that there may be people who resist those and go against them and fight to change them in a variety of ways. And sometimes civil disobedience is one of those ways that you have available to you. But the real misunderstanding in that so-called argument, which is not really an argument at all, is the difference between the two ideas. Because what you would call slavery is designed to take people's rights away. Copyright law is designed to protect people's rights. That's the difference. And so such an argument simply means the person hasn't really thought it through. It is just what you would call a knee-jerk reaction to something they want to do, and they're simply creating an excuse in their minds or a reason to break laws that actually benefit your society and are actually just laws. So be very, very clear about the idea when you bring up arguments like that and reasons like that within your own mind as to whether they actually are relevant or not, or whether you're actually missing the point on a very basic level. And the next principle.
Okay, so now we're actually on principle number 3 of the formula, which is act on that excitement with absolutely zero insistence or assumption with respect to a specific outcome.
And the first sub-principle is?
Understand that insistence on a specific outcome, manifestation, or path may actually prevent a better manifestation than you imagined. Fear-based definition.
Yes, many people on your planet will not be willing to act on their excitement because of fear-based definitions of what they think will happen if they do. Something bad will happen, or this will happen, or I'll lose this, or people will laugh at me, or judge me, or I won't belong, and everyone will walk away from me, and many other different kinds of fear-based beliefs if you are actually acting on your excitement. But the idea then is to, again, in the reverse, make sure that you are not dampening down your excitement, the things that could actually be what will give you the best possible life, just because you have a definition that isn't actually a definition of excitement. This is the irony. This is the paradox, as many people say, well, yes, I would love to act on my highest excitement, but if I do, I'm afraid that something bad will happen. That's not a definition of excitement. It's a different definition. You have to understand that in the purest form, excitement, by definition, cannot contain anything that would actually create a negative experience. So if you're making an association of a negative potential experience to the idea of excitement, then the definition you have created is actually not a real definition of excitement. It's a different kind of definition based on that fear-based belief. So be clear within yourself that you are not damping down your excitement by having an erroneous definition of it, by attaching negative definitions to it that don't belong there. Does this make sense to you? I'm sorry? Yes. Thank you. And so, the next principle?
All right, the next, number 2,
Yes.
is act on that excitement to the best of your ability.
All right, now, as you can see in this diagram, there is a lot of clarification in this particular section, because there are many different interpretations on your planet from different people about what acting on it to the best of your ability actually means. What is the first subheading?
Well, the first subheading is use all your skills, talents, imagination, and abilities in taking action.
Yes. Basically, this translates to the idea that if you actually are passionate about something, really, truly, you will use everything you've got. You will stop at nothing to allow yourself to express, to act on, to mimic, to mock up, to model, to mirror. Every skill will be brought to the forefront. Every ability that you have will be sought out and utilized and applied in your life to match the frequency of the passion you say that you are passionate about. So allow yourself to go forward full steam ahead when you know you are clearly acting on your excitement. Don't hold back. Otherwise, again, you're not really committing. You're not really demonstrating to the higher mind that it's a full commitment, that you actually believe that this frequency is representative of your passion or this opportunity or this doorway. Use every skill you have as best as you possibly can, and it will accelerate you greatly. And next.
Okay. Act to the fullest degree you are able to act.
Again, this is a reinforcement of understanding that you must go all the way to the degree you are truly able to act on it. Not only bringing all the skills, but taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further. Exhaust every possible avenue. Take it all the way out. Again, if you are truly, truly passionate about something, you will stop at nothing. It will be your driving force. You will look for every nook and cranny, every doorway, every window, every path you possibly can to take it as far as you possibly can until your reality through synchronicity shows you there is simply nothing else that you can possibly do. And next.
If more than one opportunity has equal ability to be acted upon, choose either, and it will show you whether or not to continue down that path.
Again, through synchronicity, the idea is that if it seems to be that there are equal opportunities with equal abilities and equal excitement, it really won't matter which one you choose first. You might as well just flip a coin. Because if it is not the path of least resistance for you, it will be self-contained within the toolkit of excitement, and something will happen synchronistically to demonstrate to you that that wasn't necessarily the choice that serves you best. That ability, that reflectivity is built into, automatically built into every single opportunity that you act on if it is being acted on to the best of your ability from your highest excitement. And using the coin analogy, we are serious about that because sometimes the idea is you don't really know which one might be representative of your highest excitement sometimes until you actually flip the coin. You may think they're equal, but sometimes when you flip a coin and say, all right, if it's heads, I'll take path A. If it's tails, I'll take path B. And you flip it and it comes up tails and you go, oh, path B, oh darn, I really wanted path A. You will reveal to yourself in that coin flip what really contains more excitement. But if after even the flipping of the coin, they still seem equal, then again, it doesn't really matter which path you take. For if it is not the path of least resistance, if it is not the path that serves you best at that moment, it will contain what it needs to contain to reflect to you that you need to choose the other path, because this is an automatic guidance system. It is an automatic self-perpetuating, self-guiding system, self-correcting system. It contains everything that you need. So you can utilize it that way as well. And next.
Keep acting on it until you have no more ability to act.
Again, take it as far as you can until you can take it no further. And again, be clear about the idea of what it means to have an ability to act on something. And this is where we get into some of the other definitions in this segment, is there are many different interpretations on your planet in people's minds about what it means to have the ability to act on something. So let's continue with the clarification.
When you can act no further, choose the next most exciting thing you are.
I will take that as okay. We thank you, each and every one of you individually, all of you together collectively, for the co-creation of this interaction. Once again, each and every time your civilization interacts with our civilization in this way, it creates a link, a bridge, and a third reality in which we can, one day, interact more and more closely, more and more immediately. So we thank you for the co-creation of this new paradigm, this new reality in which we can all together learn to play. This day of your time, this transmission will begin with a discussion of imagination. Now, we have talked about imagination many times. We would like to take the concept a little bit further this day of your time. We have reminded you of the synchronicity in many of the words that exist in various languages on your planet. We understand the channel's language is English, and in this context, we point out again, as many of you are already familiar with, the synchronicity of the word imagination. Magi, nation. A nation of magicians is what you are. And you can use your imagination to create the kind of nation, the kind of world that you prefer. Imagination is an extremely powerful tool, and we will discuss in what ways this is so, and how you can apply your imagination in very powerful ways to allow and to create the kinds of changes that you would prefer to represent within your lives, individually, and again, within your lives, collectively, globally. And as you thus then move out into the cosmos, into the stars, and join with us eventually, you will find imagination is going to play a very key role in your ability to do that. So let us begin. We will remind you, first of all, that we have talked about the idea that imagination is the conduit between your higher mind and your physical mind. It is the pipeline through which your higher mind communicates with you, and through which, in receiving that communication, you can then, as physical beings, as physical personalities, apply the information, the imagination that comes from higher mind, the communication, into your physical lives, to alter them, to change them in ways that are more reflective of your passion, your excitement, your joy, your preference, or not. It is up to you to use this positively or negatively. It is up to you. But imagination is the key to allow an alignment to occur. And if you are willing to use your imagination without filtering the communication from your higher mind through belief systems that contain fear, then you will find that the outcome can always be a positive one, and you can always amplify and magnify that in any direction, in any area of your lives, whatsoever, no matter what. Higher mind, again, I remind you, has the far-seeing point of view. It stands on the mountaintop. It can see all the pathways you could possibly take in life, and it guides you toward the path of least resistance, the path that is most truly you. As we have said many times, the vibration of excitement, the vibration of passion is what functions like the compass needle. It is your magnetic north to your true self. By following your passion, by following your excitement, by pointing the needle in that direction and that direction only, you will always be completely, purely, squarely on the path that is most truly you, your core, true, natural self. Your imagination is the conduit through which your higher mind can guide you in this very easily, if you allow it to be effortless, which you can. Physical mind, then, chooses in physical reality various ideas of how to apply these ideas coming from the higher mind in ways that are also pleasing to the physical being that you are, the physical personality that you are, and you learn to work in concert as a whole being, as a whole person with the higher mind. For if the physical mind thinks that it must take on the job of figuring everything out, how is this going to happen? How can I make this happen? How can I bring everything together to get this to happen? If the physical mind thinks that it must be the only one doing that job, it is going to be burdened, it is going to be weighed down, it is going to be tired. Because the physical mind is not designed to know how
things will happen. The physical mind is only designed to know how things have happened. The idea is thus then to trust the higher mind to let you know that if the higher mind is sending you information that pushes you in the direction of your passion and you trust that, what the higher mind is telling you is that by following your passion, the how will be taken care of, because the higher mind can see how you're going to get there, and the translation of that how through the imagination is the physical sensation of excitement, joy, passion, and love. That's how the higher mind speaks to the physical mind through the conduit of imagination, with those feelings, those vibrations, those energies, those pictures. So the physical mind can learn to relax and not feel it has to carry all the weight of the world on its shoulders for figuring out exactly how everything's going to come into manifestation in its life. You can allow the higher mind to guide you in that, and you can relax and ride the wave of the energy that the higher mind sends through the imagination and allow things to unfold in a synchronous manner, in an effortless, joyful, creative, loving manner. And thus then find yourself flowing through life. And even if the path that it leads you down may seem to be going left, going right, going here, going there, going where you least expected it to go, that is cause for celebration. Because as we say in our world, anytime something unexpected comes up, you want to say congratulations. Now you know you're really following your joy and allowing your life to unfold synchronously in front of you without it being so planned out, so rigidized, so insisting that it must be one way or another. Because if you really are open to the idea of what your higher mind can do through your imagination, it will almost always bring you something that is even more exciting than the physical mind was capable of actually picturing. So when you insist that it must be a certain way, you're actually limiting the ways in which it could actually come to you that might even be more exciting than you are actually capable of imagining. But imagination can act as the guide, the initial visualization mechanism to at least give you a bearing, give you a heading. And you can use that picture as a symbol to represent the energy, to symbolize the energy of the reality that is representative of your highest joy, of who you wish to be. But if you rigidize that picture and insist that it must turn out that way, then you are actually fighting against the flow of your higher mind. If you relax that it could come to you in another way and that what you're picturing is just a representation of that reality, then the energy can flow and you may find yourself winding up in a situation that is even more wildly fantastic than you were at first capable of picturing. Now, here is something else that is very important to understand about what imagination is. First of all, of course, understand it is a state of being. And any state of being causes certain kinds of states to exist in the neurology of your brain. When you are in an imaginative, creative state, your brain, the neurology, the way the electrical pathways flow will be different than any other state. Here is something that is important to understand. When you are born in physical reality, the first moment that you crystallize, shall we say, your spirit into the physical matrix, it crystallizes a kind of pattern within you that represents the idea of your soul agreement, your relationship to your higher self at that moment. What happens to it from there on will depend upon a lot of things, including input from your parents, society, so on and so forth. But that core agreement, that core relationship will always exist. So when you go through life and you've lived several years, and maybe you find yourself becoming in your older age a little bit confused, a little bit forgetful of where you're going, why you came here, so on and so forth, looking for your joy, looking for your passion. Going into the state where you allow yourself to communicate with higher mind through your imagination will actually always bring you back to your 0 moment agreement of when you were born. It will actually restructure the neurological pathways of the brain back to that childlike moment where anything is possible. That's what's key to understand about the function of imagination in your physical reality. It's your reset button. So when you find yourself feeling lost, feeling confused, feeling at odds, go into your imagination. Open up the conduit of communion between your physical mind and higher mind and push the reset button. Go back to the 0 point. Let the neurological pathways realign. And then in that state, open up to the infinite possibilities and the choices you have made, and go forward from there afresh, anew, reinvigorated, as a new persona. Because again, remember. When you make any change, you have made a total change. And that is what imagination allows you to do. Realign yourself in such a way in bringing yourself back to a kind of 0 point that you can then step out from there on any path you really so desire that is representative of your highest passion. And know that when you do so, you really have cleaned the slate. And anything that may have seemed to be an issue that was an obstacle or a complication in your life formerly, at that moment of zeroing yourself out, is actually no longer there. Now, you can co-create it again. You can say, oh, it's still there. I still have to get over this. I still have to deal with this. You can do that. If that's your process, that's fine. I am not telling you how to live your life. If you want to include complications and misery in your life, please go ahead. I will not stop you, because if that's what gives you, quote-unquote, joy, then by all means go ahead and involve yourself in that idea of struggle. If that's your process, love it. And then you'll get the most out of it. What I am simply saying is you do not have to do that. You actually have a choice. And in that moment that you zero yourself out with your imagination and allow your neurology to realign, recrystallize back to that first moment, that first agreement, when you were a child, a newborn child, and step forward in that state of being, then all bets are off, as you say. You really have lost your history. You really only live in the present in that moment. And what you do from that moment forward is up to you. And it will be, it can be your reality completely, wholly, totally. Now, we have talked about the idea of imagination in context to the concept of all that is. The universe, if you will, the multiverse, creation in totality. Whatever you wish to label it, it doesn't matter. And then we spoke about the idea of understanding this. You cannot imagine non-existence. Go ahead, I'll give you a minute, try it out. There, you see? Couldn't do it. Because the point is that even if you could, by definition, imagining non-existence would be non-experiential. Therefore, how would you know you had done it? You would have no experience of it. And in having no experience of it, in that context, it isn't relevant. It doesn't exist. Therefore, conversely, anything, everything that you can imagine is somewhere, somewhen, somehow a reality, a real reality. It may not necessarily be relevant to the reality you are creating on Earth, but it is nevertheless real in some parallel dimension, some other reality, whatever you wish to label it. Whatever you imagine is also happening simultaneously with the reality that you are actually physically experiencing. So if in your imagination you do imagine you have 3 arms, wings, 4 eyes, and are purple, There is a reality where such a being, such a version of your soul actually does exist. It may not ever cross paths with you on earth. You may never know that until you go to higher planes where you can see more of your soul's creation, and then you will go, oh yeah, there I am. Doing that thing in that universe with that kind of a form for that kind of a reason, because that's a symbol and a reflection of that kind of path and that kind of an experience. So anything you imagine is, in fact, tapping into some other simultaneously coexistent real reality. Yes, really, really real. Just as real as you feel your physical reality is for you. Now, the idea, of course, is one of discernment. It is real, but is it relevant to your reality? The idea of following your joy, following your passion, it's not to say you cannot create that here, but it is highly improbable, not impossible, but highly improbable based on the agreement you made to participate in the co-created mass consensus reality of Earth at this point in space-time, as you have created it. Strange things can happen on your planet, and strange things have and always will. And some of them are the confluence of someone actually fully letting go of any assumptions and expectations about what this reality has to be, opening the door a little wider than normal, and perhaps suddenly, there you go, something pops in that may not normally be relevant to your reality, and suddenly a legend is born, a myth is born. Oh, did you know there was such a creature, such a thing, such a happening? Well, those things do happen. They may pop in, they may pop out, and never be seen again. That doesn't mean they weren't real at that moment. It may have simply been only, in a sense, I'll put it this way, a momentary defocusing, a momentary relaxing of your agreement, but it also may be part of your agreement in the sense of presenting those kinds of ideas and realities to yourself so that you can play off them, reflect off them, and see how it might apply to some aspect of your agreement here in this reality. Nothing happens by accident. It can all be played off of. It's all an orchestration. All we are simply saying is, it's also a matter of discernment as to what works for you. And if you use your imagination in this way and apply these things in a manner that will work for you based on your understanding of your true self and the agreement that you made to be your true self in this particular modality, in this particular reality, then you can stay aligned and harmonious with your higher self and understand what it is you can achieve in this reality. You have far fewer limitations in this reality than you think, even within the parameters of the limitations you have imposed upon yourself for what is possible in this reality, or at least what is probable. The idea is that anything that represents your true joy, anything that represents your true self, your true passion, is manifestable. Is manifestable. But it is also about you paying attention to what is actually representative of your passion and not representative of your anxiety that is simply being called your passion. It requires discernment on your part to know whether you're coming from fear or true joy, and not labeling things that are representative of your fear as excitement when they actually in fact are not, but also vice versa. Not labeling your joy as a fear when it actually is representative of your true path. Because many people on your planet will stay away from the thing that really excites them the most because they have put a label of fear on it, or society has taught them to do so. This again is where your imagination can, in a sense, come to the rescue. Go back to your 0 point, press your reset button, and go, wait a minute. Who am I at the core? Who do I imagine myself to really be? What kind of person am I passionate about being? What kind of life am I passionate about living? In your imagination, you can see all those things. And that's why you have said many, many times what's important. Whether it becomes literally manifest as you see it in your imagination or not, what's important for communication and harmonization between the physical mind and higher mind is that when you do get a picture in your imagination of who you prefer to be, what you prefer to be doing, where you prefer to be doing it, how you prefer to be doing it, when you see that, all you really have to do is mimic it, mirror it, act it out as best as you can on all levels of your life. All you have to do is be like that person in your mind's eye. Do things the way he or she would do it. And then when you start doing things the way he or she would do it, you will change your vibration to the vibration that is representative of that life. And when you shift your vibration to the representation of that life, you will start to synchronistically have that life. All the things that are representative of what that you would have will come in. So that's how to use your imagination as an actual tool, an actual application tool. The idea being that when you open up to your imagination, you reset yourself, take yourself back to zero. Then you create the picture that is you, that you prefer to be. Then you act like it. You behave like it. And then you have 1, 2, 3, the whole manifestation process right there. 1, 2, 3. Let yourself reset using your imagination. Let yourself create using your imagination. Let yourself act it out using your imagination. And your imagination, thus then used in the 1, 2, 3 way, will allow you to become the magician that you are, and you will become a nation of magi. Do you understand this? All right. Now, we will, as this transmission goes on, of course, investigate some of these concepts a little bit more deeply and a little bit more personally as you engage us in questions and discussions. And just the thing to keep in mind while this is going on is that no matter how physical this interaction seems, it's also all happening in your imagination. Because remember, physical reality isn't by itself real, except the experience of it is. Physical reality and everything you experience in your life is created, whether you know it or not, whether you're conscious of it or not, through what you imagine your reality to be. Your beliefs, obviously, your definitions obviously play a part. Your emotions play a part. Your thoughts play a part. But it is your beliefs, your emotions, and your thoughts that all wrap together into the triangle of your personality prism, and once it locks together in that triangle is the template of the imagination that activates your reality. That's the conduit through which you send those beliefs, definitions, emotions, and thoughts up to the realm of the higher self, where manifestation is immediate and instantaneous, and energy is all pervasive. Then the higher self, the higher mind, sends that thought, reflects it back through the imagination to the physical mind, and gives it to you in terms of the passion of your true self, so that by simply acting on it, by simply following your passion, the higher self lets you know, this is the wish you have sent me, translated into the language of the higher mind. Do it. Act it out. Act it out, and you will be speaking the language of the higher mind. You will be blended and harmonized as the physical mind and a higher mind into one holistic being, one holistic person that can then reflect that relationship into manifestations in an imagination reality that is being created by you. It is just a mirror. That's all it is. It's just reflecting back what you imagine it can be. That's all it is. So, as we said, with that in mind, we would invite you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have various questions too, and you may have answered a lot of questions I have with her question.
That's all right. I haven't answered yours.
That's true. I know my passion.
And that would be?
Music.
All right.
But I have a difficult...
All right, now one moment before you go on.
Okay.
Remember also that we talk about the idea of following your passion, following your excitement, and also, in this context today, the passion, the desire we're talking about is also for changing core belief. You follow me? Mm-hmm. All right, continue.
Well, the core belief I want to change is I have been a healer for 15 years, and
All right.
I'm angry.
You're angry, an angry healer.
That's right, Bashar. I'm feeling that anger.
A no-nonsense, knock-down, drag-out, angry healer.
Yes.
All right.
I'm ready to give it up.
Are you?
Yes, I want to, but it's the money.
It's the money.
The surviving.
The surviving. Ooh, not even living. Surviving. Ooh.
And the funny thing is that I'm abundant right now.
I see.
I am being very well taken care of through my husband.
Yes.
But
That's a form of abundance.
Yes. But I want to find self-sufficiency.
Well, go right ahead.
And I want to go for my music. I want to let go of the healership.
Go right ahead.
But
However, I understand you are physical beings. Please pay attention to your true system of beliefs. I know you want to get to the core things and change these, but while you are holding on to certain beliefs, don't short-circuit yourself by moving into something you say is your passion sooner than your belief systems are honestly ready to let you do. Otherwise, you will just wind up jumping off a cliff and suddenly being surprised that you can't fly. As long as you still hold on to the belief that you will not fly, it would be wise not to jump off the cliff. Or at least start climbing down the cliff. As long as you believe your belief systems can support you that far, you can start some level of your passion, but respect where your beliefs actually are, and that simply takes honest self-assessment to find out what those definitions are so that you're not fooling yourself into thinking you're truly ready to live your passion when you yourself have contrary beliefs about that. So it's all right to take your time, is all we are saying, as long as you respect where you're truly at with it. Now, if you really feel that you can take a bigger leap than you have before, then by all means take whatever leap you are comfortable with, but make sure it's simply as much as you possibly can do in the direction of your passion while respecting where you're really at. I'm not saying be hesitant. I'm saying have true recognition of what your beliefs will really allow you to do. Because sometimes when you take that leap and feel that you've gone through an experience where taking that leap has suddenly smacked you in the face like a brick wall, that experience itself is for the purpose of putting you in touch with other beliefs you may still be holding on to that didn't really allow you to take the leap you wanted. And so that's okay too. You follow me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just use the experience that way and you will be using it, let's say, appropriately. Nevertheless, you want to do your music instead of your healing, although there isn't necessarily that much difference between the two, is there?
I'm not sure yet.
Well, is not healing vibration? Yes. Is not music vibration?
True.
Does not music heal?
True.
Well, you can still be a healer and be a musical one. Maybe you're just angry with yourself for not being the kind of healer you would actually rather be. Yes, no, maybe?
Yes. Well, I'm also experiencing guilt with that because...
Let's pile on the negative beliefs. Let's make it that much more difficult. Not only am I angry that I'm not doing what I want, but I'm also guilty about not doing it. Bad me, shame on me. Let's really pile on the difficulty level instead of just doing what I want. Let's spend more time processing all the things I want to judge about myself. Now, you understand, I'm not making fun of you, yeah?
I understand.
All right. However, sometimes humans are so easy to make fun of. We just can't help ourselves. Because we don't have TV. You put on quite a show, all of you, and we are more than happy to watch. However, this is an interactive show. So, what do you gain? And here's where we connect. Very good for asking the question. Very good for making the statement. Brilliant. Thank you. Here's where we connect to the idea of really exploring core beliefs. Because, as we have said, the beliefs you hold on to, the definitions you hold on to because you want to. You never hold on. You will never, I guarantee it, believe me, you will never hold on to a belief or a definition, no matter how negative, that you don't define as working for you on some level. If you hold on to it, it's because you think it serves you to hold on to it. Because you've defined it in a way that says, as uncomfortable as it is to hold on to this belief, the alternative is scarier. So this makes me feel more comfortable, so I'll keep it, thank you. You will never hold on to that belief if you actually believed this was more advantageous. But if you're scared of this choice, you will think this is more advantageous, to hold on to what you know, to hold on to what you're familiar with. As uncomfortable as it may be, it's familiar, and sometimes that's why the symbol on the Enneagrammatic circuit, the last one is the unknown. Sometimes you define the unknown as scarier, and you'd rather have the familiar, as unpleasant as it is. And there it is again, another example of attaching definition to things. This is horrible, it's horrible, it's horrible. I can't stand it, I can't stand it, I can't stand it, but I can't stand that more. When you switch that idea, believe me, you will let go of this instantly and attach to that immediately. As soon as you change the definition of what actually serves you better, as soon as you get in touch with that core belief that going in this direction will actually be the best thing for you, you will immediately do so, and believe me, nothing will stop you. Nothing. Nothing gets in your way. Nothing gets in your way. Everything you're doing because you choose to do it, because you've defined it as the best thing for you to do by comparison to this other option. But if you know that other option could serve you, you simply have to get in touch with the rest of the definitions that don't allow you to automatically choose it, that don't allow you to feel that it would. And that's usually the definition that does that. Is this making some sense to you?
Yes, I just want to feel it so I can go.
All right. Well, as you say, first of all, you're angry about doing something that's not really who you are. All right, that's fine. Natural anger, shall we call it alignment, energy alignment, that's what it's doing. It's aligning you with your truth. Natural anger lasts about, 15 seconds. Anything beyond that is judgment. You understand?
Yes.
Natural anger is energy alignment. It's the recognition that a thing is not you by comparison. And you go, oh, no, not me. That's not who I am. But that's all anger actually is. If it lasts longer than that, that's where these other definitions of judgment come in. Oh, guilty. Guilty for not choosing this sooner. Now I'm really angry. And the guilt feeds the judgmental version of anger and perpetuates and magnifies that, and you spend your day going around in circles dealing with that, instead of simply using the anger in a positive way and say, oh, this version of healing is not who I am. All right. This is. And start moving in that direction because you know that's who you are, and because you know that's who you are, you know that's what will support you. Because what excites you the most comes as a complete kit. Otherwise, it would be pointless. If what excited you the most couldn't support you in the reality you've chosen to be in, there would be no point in that being the thing that excites you. Because it wouldn't allow you to do that thing. It wouldn't allow you to continue to move in that direction if it didn't come with the ability to bring you what you need to continue to move in that direction. So you can even logic this out for yourself if that's the facility that works best for you, and recognize that there would be no reason for you to get excited about something if it didn't contain the ability to do that thing, to continue your excitement. Do you follow me?
I follow you.
Is this making sense and dollars to you?
I'm feeling it, yes.
All right. Now, if the other issues come up, I'm unsure about this, I'm unsure about that, I'm not good enough for this, I'm not qualified for that, I don't know enough about this, I don't know enough about that. Do what you need to do to gain the information and experience that you need, knowing that that's not a path toward your excitement, that all those things are part of your excitement. They're just different perspectives, different variations of it. Different parts of the process of living your excitement. It's all living your excitement. And you can use even what you've been doing as part of your excitement, because it's finally brought you to a place where it's become clear what you are not. And sometimes people on earth have to simply figure out what they are by first figuring out what they are not. Sometimes it just works best that way for some of you, because now you know where you don't want to go. And that helps you really define where you do want to go. And if you worked it that way, bless it. It got you to this realization. So don't be angry with it. Don't be angry with yourself. Use it. Say, aha, freedom, release, insight, inspiration. The path I've been on, the things I've been doing have brought me to this realization. Hallelujah.
Got you. Thank you, Bashar.
If you don't use your life up to this point that way, it's like having a path of stepping stones and saying, I invalidate the stepping stones I have been walking on. If you invalidate them, if you judge them as unworthy of having been there, they will vanish experientially, and thus then how can they get you to where you want to go? How can they lead you to the rest of the stepping stones if you invalidate the stones you've stepped on?
I think it's the fear of crossing over and how I'm going to be supported financially to get to that level of my passion.
Yes.
I don't want to go to work at Mickey D's. And even though that my husband is supporting me, I keep thinking, I really want to let go of the massage.
Yes.
I do. I have to.
Then do what you can in the direction of your highest joy to the degree that your belief system will allow you to. Start there. Go as far as you believe you are willing to believe you can be supported.
Okay.
And don't discount any avenue that you really believe is a representation of your excitement in any form.
Okay.
But also, don't put conditions on yourself. You see, what you just did in that last sentence was bring up a flurry of belief systems and conditions. The only way I can get there and support myself is by working here or doing this job I don't like. I have to do it that way. No, you don't. But you have just revealed to yourself all the belief systems you have about that. So that's good. You've just made yourself transparent, and now you can deal with why you are afraid to take that step. You are afraid to take that step because you have a definition that says you must do it in a way that is unpleasant for you, that is not preferred. But that's not necessarily an empirical truth. It's just your definition that says that. So get in touch with why you have that definition and why you've made it real, and make it unreal. Because it doesn't have to be real, does it? One of the wonderful, wonderful things that exists is that there are other people. Other people act as shining examples of what's possible. If someone else can do it, you can do it. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's why all of you, really, most importantly, can be examples to everyone else by really following your passion. Because when you see someone else do it, it's not that you have to do it exactly the same way, but if they did it, that means it's possible for you. If you have attracted yourself into their life, or at least attracted them into your life enough to be aware of them and what they've done, then be inspired by the fact that they've done it as knowledge that if you've attracted them into your life as an example, that's a sign, that's a marker that you've done that to show yourself you are capable of the same thing. So if they created abundance in their lives in a fantastically rich, effortless, fun, and playful way, so can you. If the example exists anywhere and you can see it or be aware of it, it means you're capable of the same thing, or the example would never have come into your life, because there are no accidents. Does that make sense?
Yes, it frees me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bashar.
This and what we are talking about in this kind of dialogue is not just a precursor to the idea of getting in touch with core beliefs. Everything we are saying has everything to do with really using this example, as we just pointed out in this last conversation, as an example of having your own dialogue at the same time and using this and applying it to your own situation to get in touch with your beliefs and your underlying beliefs and your core beliefs. All of this is part of the process. We are not stepping aside from all the other information we're talking about. This is part of the information. These dialogues are part of the information, part of the process in action. So pay attention to that. Are there more clarifications and questions?
Hello, dear Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm just step on the path when I'm trying to explore who I am and why I'm here.
Yes.
And it brings also tremendous responsibilities because it's not...
Stop. Before you go on, are you defining the term responsibility in a positive or negative way?
Positive.
All right. Go ahead.
And it's interesting, like you said, there's no accidents in the universe.
No.
And more I'm getting, I feel like I'm just on the baby level to be on that road, but I'm getting...
You all are.
Thank you. But I'm getting more and more.
And so are we.
Thank you.
We are always all learning. There is no end. So, we are all masters, and we're all on the baby level. And a master knows they're on the baby level. That's what makes them a master. Continue.
It's interesting that I'm getting more and more information about stuff what even hard to comprehend by human mind, but it's very exciting and very interesting about the answer to question why I'm here.
Yes.
And I would like you, would you please scan my energy and maybe ask the guys on the other side.
The guys?
To get their permission. Because in a way I feel that me and you are related.
In a sense, we are speaking to the people we are speaking to because there is an energetic connection. Otherwise, you'd be talking to someone else. So there is a relationship, there is a relatedness to the energy connection. Now, with their permission, your permission, and this goes for all of you, individually as well as collectively, what will help clarify some of these issues is information that does already exist. If you're not aware of it yet, it would be perhaps advantageous for you to become aware of this information. And it is in the form of what we will suggest as 3 books. Read Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls, and the newest Conversations with God book called Home with God. All three are specifically about choosing from the spirit level the idea of physical reality and what goes into it and why you choose those things and why you wind up where you wind up. Educate yourself, if you have not done so yet, with the information in those books. They will help you synthesize a better and clearer understanding of the processes and mechanisms that go on in the spirit world that wind up in what your lives turn out to be, and thus, in some senses, answer many of the questions as to why is this happening? Why am I this person? So read those three books, see what that does, process that information, and see if it will take you further toward answering the why. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, one moment. One moment. Are you specifically or strongly attracted to the color lavender or the flower?
Yes.
All right. This is, again, coming from your guides as a very good focusing element for you. It puts you, in a sense, helps you put yourself in the proper vibrational state to best absorb this kind of information. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also have a question, more specific question.
Yes.
Is one of my guide extraterrestrial?
Yes.
Can you name
No.
him? Okay, thank you. My other question, and this was piquing my curiosity recently, it's about, and you brought it many times and even today, that it's no such thing as a past life, reincarnations, all lives are going on simultaneously.
Yes, you can experience it as a past life, but they don't really exist in the past because there's no such thing. Everything exists now.
Yes, but my question is, can I change my frequency to experience those lives and then change my frequency to the present frequency? And
yes.
Is it any effects of those parallel lives on a current frequency life?
Yes, of course. They're all interconnected. There is constant communication and bleed through of information and experiences crossing all those lives. Constantly. You may not always know where it comes from, where an inspiration suddenly comes from, but it might be coming from an experience in another parallel life that you know you can use in this life, and so you simply make a connection, download the information, and use it without necessarily having to know it's coming in that sense from another life. You understand?
Yes, but how I can achieve that? I was
you don't necessarily always want to know where it's coming from, because that might slow down your ability to actually use that information in this life. When you need to know where it comes from, you will.
All right.
You can be open to exploring that idea, and when and where it's important for you to know that it's part and parcel of another life experience your oversoul may be having, then you'll know. But if you don't know, it's not always important for you to know, because it may not be part of your experience here to know specifically where that information comes from, because you need to use it in this life in the way you need to use it, not in the way that version of you needed to use it. Make sense?
Yes.
But if it excites you to explore that idea, see where your excitement takes you without expectation. Because remember, you're choosing to live this life,
yes,
not become the other lives. Although you can connect to them, just use your imagination. The lavender may help with that as well.
Thank you.
But you may only at first get very quick flashes. That may be enough. Don't insist on more. Just take it the way it comes, because that's the way it serves you. And if it needs to come in longer flashes and longer understandings of what's going on in different lives, then the more you do it, it may come that way if it needs to. All right?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Sharing. At this time, we would like to begin, first of all, by recounting and illuminating the idea of how the polyhedron structures that you are exploring can be utilized in a variety of ways to enhance and increase and expand your understanding and your ability to connect to other dimensional realms of information within and without you. First of all, let us do what you would call in your language a recap of what you are familiar with as the regular polyhedral structures. First of all, you will find that there are actually, in total, of those we will discuss this day of your time, 9. There will be 6 that will be physiological. There will be 3 that will be higher dimensional. Now, more often than not, you will hear on your planet of the 5 regular solids, specifically meaning what you refer to as the 5 platonic solids, again, specifically meaning that they are associated, their recognition, in a sense, their quote-unquote discovery, is associated with the entity that you call on your planet Plato. But there are actually 6 regular solids, one of which was not known to Plato, but has since been recognized by your civilization. Let us begin with the 6 physiological regular polyhedron. Number 1, if you already have it, mark it down, check it, make sure it is on your list. The tetrahedron, being in a sense a 4-sided structure, or not counting the base, a 3-sided pyramid, but including the base, 4 sides, each side being an equilateral triangle. This you have, yes? All right. Next, what you call the cube. 6 sides, each of which is a square. This you have, yes? Yes. All right. The next being the equilateral octahedron. 8 sides, in a sense, that you would recognize as, again, equilateral triangles. The equilateral octahedron. This you have, yes? Yes. This would be like unto what you would call 2 4-sided pyramids stuck together at the square base. You follow? Yes. All right. Next, you usually count the concept of what you would call the dodecahedron. Yes? Yes. But do you have 2 dodecahedrons? Or 1? There is 2. There is the pentagonal dodecahedron, made of 12 pentagons. There is the rhomboid dodecahedron, made of 12 rhombus shapes, which are diamond shapes. So there are 2 12-faced polyhedron, 2 types of dodecahedron. You follow? Yes. All right. You can experiment, and we will get to this in a moment, with constructing the rhomboid dodecahedron. We will explain how to construct such a figure in a bit. All right? Yes. All right. Moving on to the final 6th regular polyhedral structure, you have the 20-sided figure, 20 triangles, equilateral triangles, that you call the icosahedron. You follow? Yes, yes. All right, thank you, thank you. Want to make sure there is someone on the other end of this transmission. Is this true?
That we don't know what you're talking about?
Yes.
Some more than others.
All right.
True.
Have you not, up to this point, explored the idea of the regular polyhedral solids? Yes?
We've been concentrating on the tesseract tonight.
All right. That is number 8.
Okay.
But first, number 7. And now we enter the dimension of higher realms. What you have now is what we call the tetragrammaton, which is like a tetrahedron in that it appears to be a 4-sided figure made of 4 regular triangles, in that sense, equilateral. But unlike the typical regular tetrahedron, you can now understand that each of the triangular faces, each of the 4, is actually the base of another whole tetrahedron pointing inwards inside the structure, as if each face were a completely separate tetrahedron contained within the overall outside tetrahedron. This is because each face is actually the side of an interdimensional tetrahedron, and they all overlap. All of them overlap. So what you have here is, again, a 20-sided figure, in that you have the overall tetrahedron, the outside one with 4, and then you have 4 of 4. 16 and 4 is 20. You have another 20-sided figure, but it is 20-sided in another dimension, not in your dimension. It only is, in a sense, 4-sided in your dimension. The next, the 7th, is the tesseract. That is the cube or the hypercube, as you may call it. Again, the same principle applies. And this is that each square face is the side of a completely different cube. So you have, in a sense, 7 cubes, a whole cube outside, and each face represents another completely different cube, making another 6, and therefore you have 42 faces in this particular polyhedral structure. But again, most of them are in another dimension. Again, it would be like you have a cube, and you can imagine that you can step into any face and be inside the cube as if it were simply a hollow structure. But that is what would happen in your normal 3-dimensional cube. You would simply step through one of the faces and be inside the same cube. In the hypercube, in the tesseract, any face you step through would actually put you into a cube separate from any other cube you step through any other face to enter. Each face is the side of a completely different cube. They are all intersecting, but they do not interact. They do not meet. If you step through one face, you are in cube number 1. If you step through another face, you're in cube number 2. And the things that are contained inside cube number 1, if anything at all, will not appear inside cube number 2 when you step through face number 2. This is the whole concept of higher dimensional polyhedral physics. The final, in that sense, is really simply what you recognize as a sphere. For in that sense, it is unidirectional. You have this, in a sense, even in your own reality, and it can said to be the idea of the 0 point, even before the tetrahedron in physical terms, for when you step in a sphere is the same in all directions. This is the same in the higher dimensions as well. Again, however, when you step into the hypersphere, you now have an infinite array of possible realities that you could experience, because each point on the surface of the sphere is really a completely different sphere. So while in the physical reality, the sphere, being the 0, not the 1, will simply be that you step into a ball, and it is the same ball. In the higher dimensions, the sphere will be an infinite array of realities, an infinite array of spheres contained within the same sphere. So you have the 0 and infinity at either end of the spectrum of the interim 8, or an octave of polyhedra. Are you following along so far? All right. Close enough. Now, so the progression in terms of the sides, in terms of the faces, that is, will be, starting with the physical sphere, 0, and then you will have the tetrahedron for 4, then you will have the cube for 6, then you will have the equilateral octahedron for 8, then you will have 2 dodecahedrons, 2 12-faced figures, then you will have the icosahedron for 20, then you will have the tetragrammaton for 20, again forming the bridge connector from physical to non-physical reality with the same number of faces inward that the icosahedron has outward. Then you will have the idea of the tesseract or the hypercube for 42, and then you will have the hypersphere for infinity. So this is the count. Then, as you have it, 0 to the idea then of 4, and then 6, and then 8, and then 12, 12, and then 20, 20, and then 42, and then infinity. Now, the idea herein is to understand that these forms are some of the most basic structures in what you call nature, physical reality. They are some of the underlying templates, or if you wish, building blocks for how things arrange themselves in physical reality. And what this means is arrange themselves not only atomically, even subatomically, but also on a larger scale, a macrocosmic scale. Even relationships of energy follow these patterns in general. This is not to say there are not other patterns, but when we are talking about the regular ones, that is, ones that have faces that are equal to every other face, these form the basic skeleton of the underlying template of how things are arranged, or the relationships that exist throughout many different dimensions that are all connected to your particular universal reality, physical and etheric, and in that sense, the hyperdimensional connections as well. But we will concentrate and focus on what will be most applicable to your reality, since, of course, that happens to be where you're focused at the moment. So, let us begin by understanding that one of the ways, and it is only one, of the ways to use these forms is, whether you do this in your own imaginations, in your mind's eye, so to speak, or whether you create some kind of media format in which to view this occurring, will not really matter as long as simultaneously to any assistive tool you may be using outside, you also will allow this to be going on in your imagination at the same time. When you can begin to imagine or visualize these forms inside your mind, inside your imagination, when you can see them in your mind's eye, dimensionally, and you can begin to move them, to turn them, to spin them, to rotate them in your mind, you will find that they actually have the capability of making changes within you. First of all, they will make energetic changes. Secondly, they will actually instill neurological changes. Thirdly, they can even instill physiological changes within you. They are like skeleton keys. And when you can hold the form in energy strongly, and begin to associate with it strongly, and begin to move it in space and time, then it will move you in space and time. You will go along with it. It will carry you, in a sense, into different orientations, different perspectives, allow you to perceive and access different dimensional perspectives of information or reality. So these are the keys turning in the locks. And as you become more proficient at turning them, then you will find you will be able to open more locks, open more doors, and begin to perceive through inspirational methods, through meditational methods, through artistic expressional methods, through many different creative methods. You will be able to perceive instant insights and perceptions of things you heretofore had not imagined. And you will find that you can also use these to take these new perspectives of information and figure out ways to apply this information, to adapt this information to your physical reality, to create new things, to have new ideas, to apply new methodologies, to create new results, new effects in your reality. This is the primary utilization that we will be discussing. There will be other utilizations that we can also perhaps touch on in this first preliminary discussion about the use of these regular polyhedra. But for now, in having laid this basic foundation, let us begin with your questions so that we can cover your specific focuses, your specific interests, and see how each and every one of these can be perhaps applied to the overall foundational understanding we have given, and how this foundational understanding can be expanded relative to your questions. And then, after we have gone through your questions and discussion thereof, we can, as you would say, wrap it up with some cohesive understanding and further explanation as to how to, as you would say in your language, get the most bang for your buck in the utilization of these very fundamental but very powerful tools of energy. So, let us begin, however you wish, with your questions.
Now, let us talk a little bit about some of the ideas of the kinds of dreams that will manifest in your 21st century that you can participate in. And we will come back to a little bit more discussion later of the personality construct of belief, emotion, and thought patterns and action. But let us look ahead into an alternate now. Now, because the future doesn't really exist, it all exists now. What are some of the exciting things that are going to be created by you in the 21st century? Well, very important area that is going to be expanding is the idea of information. So many more of you are going to allow yourselves to find new and exciting ways to receive and share information about so many different things. Whole new companies will come into existence just for the sole purpose of being able to collect and share information. The idea of your so-called internet is the infant version of this idea. Eventually, any information available to anyone will be available to everyone, everywhere, at any time. You could be on top of the highest mountain all by yourself. You could be at the bottom of the deepest ocean all by yourself. But you will invent techniques in order to be able to tap in to know anything you need to know at that time, at that place, no matter where or when you are. You will be able to figure out how to allow the entire planet itself to become one internet. You can be connected to it all the time if you wish. Or you'll be able to be private and alone if you wish. Communication will also expand in understanding. And what we mean by this is as follows. You will begin to understand the vibrational frequency of different states of consciousness, not only within yourself as an individual, but with all forms of life. You will truly learn how to carry on conversations with animals, plants, rocks, anything that exists on your planet. You will understand that you are in a constant relationship with all these things, having a constant communication and conversation with everything in your world and the universe. So beyond the idea of just information, it will be the idea of communication and relationship with all things. And the areas that will benefit from this will be many, especially the notion of education. The education of your children and yourselves will become much more experiential. You will not just sit and listen, you will do and learn. Whole environments will be created to give you experiences in which you can learn new things with all of your senses. Because when you are given a real experience, then you learn more and retain more of that information and can apply more of that information into your life. And so experiential education will expand on your planet. The creation of new stories in new ways. More the idea of being in a play, to read a story rather than just having it read to you. You will take parts and become the story, acting it out. And you can become, in a sense, everything in the play. An ancient technique in Atlantean times was as follows. In order to teach children, they were put in what you would call a more hypnotic state with the beating of a drum. The beating of the drum matched their heartbeat. The beating of the drum was slowed down so that the heartbeat would follow and slow down. Once they were in this trance-like state, then they were shown different objects. And in this trance-like state, they were told that they were the object itself. They were told that they were the sail of a ship or the whole ship. They were told that they were a specific crystal or a specific animal. They were told they were this animal and asked then to feel what is it like to be this rock or be this animal. And thus by playing this part, they would learn about this thing by actually being it and knowing everything that they needed to know about it. So by playing out the story and being the characters and being everything in the story, you will learn more about everything and everyone in the story and live it. You will absorb the knowledge of the story into the cellular structure of your body, and it will be easier for you to apply the lessons of the story in life because they will have become a part of you. As each and every one of you individually, from this point forward, follows and acts on your highest excitement, you may find yourself being attracted to creating new ways, new companies, new techniques, new projects that are similar to some of the things we are describing here. You will learn to trust that your imagination, when you act on your excitement, will bring you everything you need to understand in order to know how to create these things and help the world change. You must trust that your imagination will always bring you the best technique that will work for you in terms of how to act in the direction of your excitement. And one of the most powerful ways to manifest your dream is connected to what we have just talked about. And that is immersing yourself in a full representation, a full environment that represents the reality you would prefer. So when there is a reality that you would like to create that doesn't yet exist, one very strong technique and powerful technique you can use is to simulate it as close as possible. What this means is as follows. If there is a place on your planet that is more representative of your joy, more representative of the environment that would exist in the place where you would do this exciting thing, it would be better if you would actually be in that place. Now, if for some reason you just find that there is no opportunity presenting itself to you to actually travel to that different location that is more representative of your joy, then you must simulate it where you are as closely as possible. Create the environment as closely as possible around you so that you can practice being in that reality. Because if you imagine in your highest excitement that you are going to be the president of a very powerful and creative company, and you see in your imagination that when you are the president of this company, you are sitting in your office behind this beautiful desk in this very big comfortable chair like this. But when you are at your house or apartment, you are sitting in a not so comfortable chair at a little desk like this, then your body energy, your body language is not the same as the body language in your dream. Every little orchestration of energy counts. If you can create a room in your house or apartment to look like the office of the president you will be in all the ways you can, then you will be creating that reality more solidly. Because when you are the president of that very exciting company, your body language will be very different, perhaps, than the body language that you exhibit now on a day-to-day basis. You must change all of your energy representation to be as close as possible to the way you say you want to actually be when you see yourself living your dream. And so, the idea then is that the closer you can match what you see in your imagination, the more real your body consciousness will believe it is, and the more real energy you will project out that will transform your reality. So, to use another brief example, if your dream is to become a very famous actor, beautifully delivering plays on stage, then find a stage and go on the stage and go through the motions and act out the play and see the audience before you in the seats. And the more people you can ask to help you run through the practice version, the more real it will become. If you can get people to act with you on the stage, then invite them to do so if they would find that exciting. If you can get people to be the audience watching the play and they are excited to sit in the seats and do that, then invite them to do so. Get as close as you possibly can to the end picture, the big picture. If you cannot find enough people willing to act on stage or sit in the audience with you, make cardboard cutouts of people and put them there. Because it will make a difference to your body language if you are actually acting with and acting for something that your eye goes to. Do not put limits on your imagination. Get as close as you possibly can to simulating the dream you say you want to live. And practice it and practice it and practice it and make changes if the changes are more exciting. That energy will radiate out into the world and attract to you all the circumstances, situations, and opportunities that will allow it to come to pass, to come into reality in the easiest possible way. But these opportunities will come in the form that represents your highest excitement. They may not appear to be connected to the dream, but if they contain the highest excitement and you have the greatest ability to act on them, that's what lets you know it is connected. So let this vibration and everything we have discussed with you in this communication sink in and become real. Feel it in your cells. After your nourishment break, we will have some questions to help refine the details of these ideas. Are you excited about taking your nourishment break? Then enjoy your break and we'll resume communication afterwards.
Say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Once again, we take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for allowing us to communicate through this particular gateway at this time to your civilization. Once again, each and every time, our civilization is afforded an opportunity to communicate with you in this way. It opens up our understanding of the universe by experiencing through each and every one of your unique perspectives that many more ways that the infinite has of expressing itself. So we thank you for this gift. We would like to begin this transmission this day of your time with a subject that we would like to entitle Etheric Fauna and the Dragon. The idea being to understand that in what you call the astral realms and the etheric realms, these levels, these dimensions of reality are just as populated as your dimension with forms of consciousness that may not always have a physiological counterpart. There are just as many configurations of flora and fauna in the astral and etheric realms as there are in the physiological realm. Now, anything that is physiological will have, to some degree, an astral and etheric counterpart, but not everything that is etheric will always manifest itself or solidify a version of itself in physical reality. So in many ways, the idea of the etheric dimensions, the astral levels, in many ways, they will contain things that you do not experience in physical reality as a manifestation of life, though sometimes there may be temporary, momentary projections and or manifestations of etheric life in physical reality that then may give rise to mythologies and legends and memories of certain creatures and beings and so forth, and then they may again disappear back into the etheric levels, raise their vibrations back up to the etheric realm, and so in a sense seem to disappear from physical reality, again giving rise to the mysteriousness of these reports, of these so-called mythologies and legends that individuals know they have perceived, but then cannot, quote-unquote, prove the existence of, since they no longer manifest in physiological terms. The idea of the being, of the level of consciousness that you have referred to in your past as the dragon is one such example. It exists as an etheric expression. It, in a sense, inhabits or lives in the lower astral and etheric realms, only rarely pushing itself for a variety of reasons into physiological reality. Now, of course, there were times in what you call your ancient history where conditions were more conducive, literally more conductive, for these kinds of beings to be able to manifest in physiological terms for longer periods of time than they may be capable of doing now. Although now, in your physical reality, times are changing and coming back around to when more and more etheric fauna has more ability, more likelihood, more of a conducive atmosphere because of the changes going on in your collective consciousness to be able to perhaps be perceivable, to manifest in physiological reality as they used to long ago. And so it may be that more and more often people on your planet will begin to perceive different kinds of interactions, different kinds of beings, or at least be capable of sensing the existence of these beings in a more realistic way, so to speak, because the veils are becoming thin between physiological, astral, and etheric reality. And what you call different manifestations of spirit and other kinds of phenomenology, such as crop circles, are an indication that things that heretofore were mostly only in the domain of the astral and etheric realms are now more capable of becoming manifested, or at least capable of manifesting an aspect of themselves in physiological reality for your perception, for your interaction, as you so desire. Now, the dragon, in specific terms, symbolically, and to some degree literally, is a manifestation of an aspect of the collective consciousness of your realm, of your dimension, of your people, of your intelligence. It is connected to many other things as well in the idea of your past journey, in the idea of where the spirits of that which is now human also connect to and come from, but as a manifestation of a being in that particular format that you call the shape of the dragon, there is now ability to understand that this being represents the core, very deep, ancient core of humanity's psychic wisdom and its ability to express itself in a multitude of ways, even within each individual, in that each individual contains a multitude of personality aspects and can express the self as an aspect of the infinite in a multitude of ways. This is why many of the more ancient symbols of dragons express themselves or are represented by multi-headed dragons, what you call the Hydra, with many heads. This was an expression and a representation that the core, autonomous, archetypal being of the dragon was representative of many different levels of your being and capable of expressing itself in many different ways, even within one individual, of presenting many faces. In that context, you will find that now that you are gaining more insight, more understanding of your multitudinous personalities within each and every being, you can begin to tap back into that core power, that ancient power that is representative, in fact, of your full of your fullest expression of power in physiological reality. That is what the dragon generally and most simply symbolizes, your fullest expression of power in physical reality. The idea is also that because it is ancient, it expresses and represents the initial inception of humanity into physical reality, of spirit into physical reality in the earth plane. That is why it is represented by that kind of creature, in that the first expression or first level of expressiveness of your physicality in terms of your ability to think, your ability to perceive and interact in physical reality, in the brain is represented by what you often refer to as the reptilian brain, the primitive, simple brain. The dragon is representative of this level as far as your collective intelligence is concerned. In other words, the combination of all of your reptilian level of the brain combines to form the level you call the dragon. And so when you tap into the dragon, you are tapping into the most original, most essential, most primitive, but not in a negative sense, level of your initial inception as spirit collectively into physical reality. And thus, when you tap into that, can express that initial recognition and realization and connection to all the things of nature, of physical reality, and all the things of astral realms, and all the things of etheric realms and spirit realms that will allow you to reclaim, in a sense, your grounded power, your ability to function with conviction and commitment in the way that you recognize the power of the dragon to represent. Also, you will recognize that to some degree now in this day and age, one of the manifestations of your ability to allow the etheric realm to manifest itself more concretely will be some of the interactions that many of you are now having with what you perceive as a reptilian species. This is simply a reflection of another aspect of the collective humanity and all the connections you have with other beings that all together, you, the Greys, the reptilians, many others, that all together, I would ask you to understand, are different faces and different aspects of one larger intelligence. Start to look at yourselves in this way as one of the heads of the Hydra, and you will begin to also be able to trace back down the necks to the body your connection and your relationship not only to all of yourselves, but to many of the other beings in creation that play their part in the overall history that you all share, going back many, many millennia into the past and even unto other worlds and other civilizations. This is the time of the expression of that power, of the expression of becoming the dragon, the mage, the wizard, the sorcerer, so on and so forth, and allowing yourself to know that etheric fauna, astral fauna, astral inhabitants, etheric inhabitants, you all have counterparts there. You all individually and collectively can connect back to those levels and reclaim the overall connection that you have, not only to yourself as an individual in those levels, but to the collective whole in those levels. For in those levels, and especially in the etheric, there are fewer barriers and fewer separations, and it is easier by going to that level to connect to the totality of humanity, the totality of intelligence that expresses itself in any form of civilization, in any form of discrete dimensionality. To understand your connection to it, to understand how to relate to it, and to understand how to bring through and express that connection where it is applicable and germane for your present experience of the physical earth domain. Let all that sink in. Remember that you are hearing this also on many different levels. So even if some of this does not make sense to your outer mentality physically, it makes sense to your being on a resonant level. And when you simply begin to allow yourself to identify with the concept of the dragon as an etheric representation of the collective wisdom of all of your kind and your innate power and ability to express and claim that power, you will begin to get the point. And you will begin to feel the fire that lights you up inside, which is your own internal light, your own internal power of creative expression. We thank you for allowing us to represent this idea in this way to you this day of your time. Once again, in return for the gift that you are giving to us and our civilization, we ask now, in what way may I and my world be of service to you? Bashar. You, good day.
Hi, Bashar.
I will say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? We would like to begin this communication, this day of your time, in the following way, by reminding each and every one of you, briefly, once again, that while it is critical and important for you to gather knowledge, data, information, it is equally important that you apply that knowledge, information, data, through your actions in your daily lives. For if you do not, you will not fulfill the connection that is necessary for the manifestations you desire. Knowledge is all well and good. Ideas are all well and good. But without the application of knowledge, there really is no effect. For you are not at cause in your life in that sense. You must allow yourselves always the understanding that while meditation will help clarify who you are by putting you in touch with the infinite knowledge of all that is in your center, as you are quiet, you align, you harmonize, you synchronize with the infinite knowledge of all that is. But once you have some knowledge, some understanding, if you do not then come back into focus in your lives, and through joy apply that information, then you are not creating the balance between heaven and earth, as you say in your language, that is necessary for you to see the rewards, reap the effects of that knowledge, of that information. You are physical beings, and application and action are just as important as aspects of spirituality as any idea or concept or information that you may have within your imagination or within your heart of hearts. Your desires, your wishes, these are important, powerful, and potent energies. But you are a channel, you are a conduit for those energies, and it is through your actions, your behavior in physical reality, your body language, your attitude, the things you do, the way you do them, how you say the things you say, that radiates that frequency outward into your physical reality, making you a magnet that attracts the manifestations of reality that are reflective of that frequency. If you are content to just sit in your easy chairs and think good thoughts, you may have a wonderful and pleasant dream life. But you will find that without some degree of action, many things that you desire will not come to you because you are not giving off the sign that you will do anything with what you are given. You are an active principle of life. You are an integral part of the mechanism of creation itself. And without acting as that bridge, you cannot allow what is coming into you from higher levels to come all the way through into your reality. It is really as simple as that. You are the switch itself, the bridge itself, the link itself between heaven and earth. The idea, again, as we have said before, when you get in touch with the way things could be, with the ideal reality, it is not the purpose to run away from the earth in search of that ideal reality, but to bring that energy down to your planet, to create heaven upon the earth, as you poetically say in your language. Because that is why you have chosen to be where you are at this time, to be of service, to be of help. And each and every one of you, make no mistake, has a great impact upon the whole planet. Each and every one of you has a purpose in being where you are. And you can know this, and you can feel this, and you can experience this, if you will but act in accordance to your dreams and desires, being physically the representation of the kind of energy, the kind of conviction, the kind of knowing certainty that is already of the world you say you want to create. For in being that state, in thought, word, and deed, do you thus accelerate the ability of that reality to manifest all around you. You are, if you wish again a poetic analogy, God's paintbrushes. Allow yourself to let that creative spirit come through and paint broad strokes upon the canvas of your reality. You are the brush, but you are also the painter. You are also the canvas. You are all of those things simultaneously. You are the action itself. You are the experience itself. You are the process itself. No segregation, no separation, no process to learn to live life. Living life is the process. And if you simply do it as best you can, in all ways, on all levels, you are fulfilling your purpose, your self-chosen purpose, just by doing the best you can. At any given moment, it's all you need to do. We thank you for allowing us to share a slightly different perspective of this idea once again. We find that it is important to urge you into action, for we know, we can see the kind of realities you can manifest if you would but move as if you already lived within them. And we know it will delight you no end when your idea of yourself and the way you express yourself are one. So we thank you. And now, in return for your gift, we ask you, in what way at this time may we be of service to you? You may begin with sharing if you wish.